everyone. Welcome to Uncorked with Holly
and Gina.
Listen, Gina.
I know.
He's been referred to us by a gazillion people. Maybe a gazillion's like an over-exaggeration, but I don't think so. If we really polled the universe, I think it'd be
at least that.
I mean, I think we couldn't count how many people love him.
Can you hear that?
The heart is the heart beating. Okay.
Beating Gina. Better already.
I know. And we are, I don't know when this is airing, but we are on Valentine's week.
Oh, so true.
I mean, is this the most perfect
As if we had planned it.
As if we had. But you know what? The universe plans all good things.
It does. It does.
And we've got Scott Stabile in the house. Let me tell you about him. Not only was he really referred by a gazillion people, and I'm not kidding about that, he is a love spreader.
That's better than the super spreader. That's so much better. We need love super spreader. I think that's what we need. On the heels of the pandemic, we now need a love super spreader.
We do.
And that is our guest today.
He's a love activist. I mean, I love all this stuff. I'm just like, this is so beautiful. Okay.
He rebranded himself all kinds of ways. You love a rebranding.
I mean, I do. He's beautiful. Okay. He is the author of Big Love. We're going to put that in the show notes. Everybody has to read it. It is funny. It is delightful. It's Big Love, the power of living with a wide open heart. We should talk about that. Mine was very close this morning.
Yes.
Okay, let me get the title out.
I see it. It's cracking. I see a little crack in it. I see a crack.
But listen, I can't even get the title out without commenting. My editorial runs off the charts this morning. All right. Big Love, the power of living with a wide open heart and just love. I know. I know it's hard. It's hard. And no coffee. Okay,
no, it's shocking.
He's a speaker. He's a writer. He holds workshops for us to find our authenticity.
Oh, God.
Our trust. Get rid of fear. Compassion, joy, love. And guess what, folks? Can't have love without self-love. I think so. Okay. And then the other thing that, I don't think it was whispered to us. It was spoken loudly about his breathwork sessions and how incredible they are. So we're going to want to talk about that.
For sure.
And so listen, I don't know. We're going to talk about love today, people. Welcome, Scott Stabile, to Uncorked.
Oh my gosh, poor Scott. I mean, he walked in here just thinking today was just going to be a normal day. And then Holly showed up like that.
No, it's true.
I think we're going to be laughing a lot.
I hope so.
Sure.
Yes, of course.
For sure. That is the love language for sure. Welcome. So typically, Scott, how we start our podcast is just an opportunity for you to give kind of the highlights of Scott to our audience, just things that would be important milestones in your journey to today that would be good for our audience to know before we kind of dive into the conversation this morning.
Oh boy.
The highlight reel, Scott. We need your highlight reel.
Highlight reel.
Yeah.
What's a highlight reel? Well, I feel like I want to just share where I am right now too.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's do that.
Perfect.
Which is, you kind of presented it, the love thing. And what I want to say about love, just so your listeners know where I'm coming from with it, is that, I see love as an energy. And in the same way that I see creativity as an energy or intention as an energy. And the energy of love is alive within us, it's alive outside of us, it's alive everywhere all the time. So for me, what I've come to discover throughout my life is that when I'm playing with that energy and when my thoughts are infused with it, my words, my actions are infused with it, that I'm always of pure positive service to myself and others and our world. Because as you both know, I'm sure, because you're so delightful and loving, is that love is our greatest healer, and I think that we as human beings know this and understand this. And it's in part what makes it so insane to look at the world and look at all the justifications all of us to some degree make for hateful behavior, for dehumanizing behavior, for judgmental behavior, when we know that when we're actually in love, when we're receiving love, when we're giving love, it's when we feel the best. It's when we feel the most alive and the most at home. So for me, a friend referred to me as a love activist, and as someone who's never known how to describe myself or the work that I do in the world. When she said that, it was like, yeah, that's kind of what I do. I make a lot of noise for love because I want to feel good.
That's a nice quote. I love that. I make a lot of noise for love.
Yeah, because it feels good,
so
right? And human beings, I don't know. I know that part of this title originally, I don't know if it still is, was Law of Attraction, right?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing Abraham Hicks.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Work, right? And one of the things I appreciate so much about their work is just the general reminder that as human beings, we want to feel good. And that desire is never going to leave us. And so when I'm checking in with myself and when I feel the best and most aligned and most alive, it's always when I'm in alignment with love, right? And so that's really why I make a lot of noise for love, not because I'm some like Buddha saint. It's because I want to feel good, and love feels good, and hatred doesn't feel good, and all those other things. So it's like I fall off the love train all the time, and I'm always looking at ways I can get myself back onto it, because that's when I feel most at home. Which didn't really answer your question, Gina.
No, it was
we start
perfect.
there.
We start there. That's a perfect place to start.
I would say that if we're going to put in the show notes, to get a dose of that love all the time is to follow him on Instagram.
Oh, for sure.
But he's really you have to get the book because it's super funny. So you talked a little bit I forgot how you put it, but fall off the love train and then get back on the love train, because we're human, right? And so how do you get yourself back when you're in a spiral, and we've all been in spirals, right? Sure. What's the process for us to get back to love? What does that look like?
I would say, what's the process to get back? For one, with me, it's about willingness and commitment, and really bringing awareness to how we feel in relation to the thoughts we're thinking, the words we're speaking, and the actions we're taking, right? Because everything we're feeling, in my experience, connects to what I'm thinking about. And which is why when we really come to understand that, we realize how much power we have in our capacity to reframe our thoughts and shift our thoughts, but also not all the time. Sometimes, can we swear on this show?
Yes.
Heck yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Bring it. Yes, bring it.
We needed that this morning. In fact, you know what we were going to do, Scott, this morning? We were like, because here it's 9 a.m. and we were like, I go, is it too early for champagne?
Yeah.
And I was like, can we just cuss and have champagne?
I mean, and her face looked about like that when she was doing it. She was so mad about
and then I was
the
like,
whole
but we
situation.
have love coming. What do we do?
Bubbles and love.
I mean, they go together.
That never sucks. Yeah.
Anyway.
But I mean, because what I was going to say is really just that it's, I'm not always operating in that space, but and when my mind is spinning out, and typically, I would say my mind spins out more in relation to the world than it does these days on self-abuse. But I know the spin out of self-abuse very well too, and if I feel like I'm not able to shift myself from whatever dark place I'm in to like a genuine place of love, because I think in this work, it's got to be honest. I don't think we serve ourselves by operating with falseness or in denial. So if I'm in this place where like, you're a piece of shit, Scott, you're a piece of shit, Scott, I can't always shift to like, I love you, you're so beautiful, in a way that feels real. If you can shift in a way that feels real and you can get yourself back in your heart, beautiful. But sometimes when the mind is spinning, the best I can do for myself is just think about any other thing on the planet other than myself. And that's actually where we have a lot of power. It's like, think about your dog, think about your niece or nephew that you love the most, think about a child who's not driving you insane and makes you smile. It's like, there are so many things that we can be thinking about that the moment we're aware that what I am focused on and obsessing on like a hamster on the wheel is only creating for me discomfort, anxiety, self-loathing, then that's the moment I have an opportunity to shift my thinking, right? And that even if I can't get myself to love, but I'm just thinking about the fat squirrel climbing in the tree that's super cute, it's like, that is actually an act of self-love, because I'm bringing awareness to the fact that my thought process right now is creating a lot of heaviness. And in that heaviness, there's nothing beneficial happening. I think, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
I'm about feeling what I'm feeling. So if I'm feeling sad, I don't always need to take myself out of sadness. That's not what I'm suggesting. But if you've been living in a space of anxiety or heaviness or darkness for so long, and there's no energetic shift happening, and you just want to create something different for yourself, think about any other thing.
Yeah.
And I say that as though it's easy. It is simple. It's not easy, but it is something we can do. And I think we don't really understand how powerful we are. Shift our thinking and create new thoughts until we start to play with it. And then the other thing I do in those moments, it's like, what I've gotten a lot better at, and it's taken a lot of practice, is really playing the witness to my mind and my thoughts, like really being the audience member and allowing the noise of my mind to be the movie, or being the sky and allowing the thoughts to be the weather, which that's a metaphor I really love. I heard it a long time ago and it's shared a lot. Become the sky. Like, no matter what's happening, no matter what storm is going on, the sky is held in the energy of expansion. It can hold it all. And the more we recognize how expansive we are energetically, like what we're actually able to hold when we allow our energetic field to expand, it's like the insanity of our minds. Let's say that insanity is this boulder. You throw that boulder into a swimming pool, it's going to create havoc. You throw that boulder into the ocean, and it's just not a lot happens. And we are the ocean. We are the sky. We just forget that.
Right.
And so bear witness to your thoughts without becoming them. Remember that you are not your mind. Your mind, like every other human mind on the planet, is wired for many things, some of which are beautiful and some of which are fucking insane. And, just rooted in fear and conditioning and insecurity. And you are none of that. And so I've gotten practiced at looking at my mind in the way that I might look at my hand or my foot. It's like, my hand's waving, my hand grip things, my hand has all these different things it's able to do, but never do I become my hand no matter what it's doing. And yet when our mind is spinning out, telling us we're awful, ugly, lazy, worthless, not enough, we become it.
Yeah.
We don't have to become it. It's just that my mind's just doing what all minds do.
Yeah.
And if we can just witness it without becoming it, we create so much more peace in our being, so that no matter what we're going through, there's a bit of a distance and separation. Does that make sense?
100%.
It makes total sense. And what you were saying and articulating so beautifully is, and this is where I think my journey started, was when I started to just stop and witness, like just have a moment of pause as the spinning is happening, and recognize that we're going to get nowhere like this. I mean, this is not going to, like, whether I'm looking for a parking spot or whether my video didn't work this morning, that all that is. And when what you're saying, when we even talked about the Hicks, was if our goal is love, which is the highest energetic vibration, and we're at shame, guilt, which is total clown shit, Scott.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we say.
One of our badass principles.
We have principles, and that's a bad one. We're saying
shame and guilt is clown
shit, and nobody
shit.
likes the shit.
Nobody likes clowns.
Hallelujah.
Nobody likes clowns.
Which is the lowest.
Nobody likes them.
And I was operating in anger today, so that's actually above shame and guilt.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think that you can't. Your point is exactly right. Like, if I'm mad or angry or shame and guilt, I can't go to just, come on, Holly, be loving. Okay, like, how does that work?
But I love the idea. I mean, the concept of, the sky, because we've all ridden on airplanes. We've all seen, you can go from heavy clouds, nasty weather, to beautiful sunshine, all in the same space, right?
Yeah.
And so, one of the things I have really worked hard on trying to do is honor both the clouds and the sun, right? And both are important. And how do you do that in a way that the clouds don't, because we're human, I think we will weight the clouds and the nastiness heavier, and it's easier to park. It's always easier to say what you don't like about something versus what you love about something, right? It's human nature just says that. So how do we honor the clouds and the sun in the same space? And how do authentically, how do you hold space for both of those things without, for me, I will weight the clouds more heavily, and I will want to fix that. I will want to clean that up, and I will forget about the sun. Does that make any sense?
It makes total sense. And I think, and I feel like what you do is you give more energy to the sun, because you understand your mind is naturally going to weight the clouds more heavily. Right. Okay. So this is my experience of this path. It's understanding that my mind is automatically going to cue in to what is not working, and it's automatically going to focus on it. Yep. So knowing that, it's incumbent upon me to be more proactive and more intentional about giving my energy to gratitude, to what is working in my life, to what it is that I want to create, because that isn't as natural, I believe, probably just from our conditioning as human beings. It isn't as natural. But knowing, Gina, that your mind goes in that direction, it's incumbent upon you, should you choose to be more intentional and more active about creating for yourself more moments of sunshine, more moments of joy, more moments of life, more moments of connection to all of those things that also exist here in such a big way. And that's why, spiritual bypassing has come up a lot in the dialogue over the past few years. And look, I think it's great to be aware of when we're denying what is real for us, but what I've observed, what feels true for me, is that in our compulsion around not wanting to spiritually bypass everything, we are bypassing so much joy. We're bypassing so many realities on this planet that are existing in real time right now. All the love, all the compassion, all the kindness, all the creativity, all the beauty. Like, that is something to celebrate and hold ourselves open to, because that is at least half of what's existing here. And yet we get so focused in on the stuff that doesn't work that we forget to hold our hearts and minds open to all that is working. And by doing so, I believe, look, I don't think our misery is what helps people out of their misery. That is not how energy works. We're so, I feel and a lot of us are afraid to celebrate our joy because we see so much suffering, and it feels inappropriate to be joyful. Even if you're authentically joyful, it's like, keep it on the down low.
It's so true.
And yet, I'm like, please share your joy. Please share your joy, and that joy is infectious, and it's actually your joy that has a much better chance of helping someone out of their misery than your misery does. And again, none of this from a place of like, be who you're not. It's just like, if who you are in the moment is joyful, be that. If who you are in the moment is sad, be that. If you've been sad for a long time and you really want to shift out of that sadness in some way, reflect on the things that you do in your life typically that add more joy to your life. That might be connection with others. It might be some sort of artistic expression. It might be dancing your ass off to your favorite music. Do those things, right? And then remember, for me, the statement I say to myself as much as any other these days is, it's okay, honey, you're human. And for me, that is the voice of grace within me that is so practiced and so built up that no matter what I'm going through, no matter what my mind is saying, no matter how hopeless I feel about the state of the world, no matter what unhealthy choices I'm making that I know are not going to ultimately serve me, no matter how much I'm numbing to prevent myself from feeling, which I do plenty still, it's like there's this understanding, this relationship I've built with myself through self-love, where there's this voice that's like, it's okay, honey, you're human. And it's like it releases this pressure valve. It's just an acknowledgement of our humanity.
Grace. Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's grace.
It's grace.
Yeah. And there is nothing you could be doing in your life that I'll speak for myself. I don't feel there's anything I could be thinking, saying, or doing in my life that is not worth me loving myself.
Right.
And that doesn't mean not taking responsibility when I'm showing up like an asshole and when I'm making choices that could potentially be harmful to others. It doesn't mean that. It means that even when I'm doing that, hey, it's okay, you're human, and like deal with your shit and apologize or whatever it is you have to
clean that shit up. Yeah.
Clean that shit up, right? But remembering, like, shame, as you guys called it, clown shit. It's like, I have never shamed myself into a place of healing. And I have many times loved myself into a place of healing. So I am just about loving myself. Where there was going to be shame, fuck it, right? And again, the voice of shame is alive within me too, but not the way it used to be. Really.
Yeah.
I've been talking a lot. You guys, please.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking as you were talking about, I love it's the anti-controversy, okay? Because at this spiritual bypassing, I was a really big time spiritual bypasser. So I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm great. Then I'd be like, I'm just going to switch that energy. I'm going to move up the emotional, energetic scale. And I'm going to, and you probably know this, but like, listen, I grew up not wanting to feel any feelings. Okay. And the more I figure out what I had, I was like, I had disassociation, like there's all kinds of things that I thought, oh, I'm fine. Why don't I remember things, And so I came from not feeling anything. And so for me to go from spiritual bypassing, and then I'm sitting, okay, so I'm not happy right now. Let me just sit here. And what I hear you saying is like, okay, well, sit there, but move.
Yeah.
When you're ready, I think is what you're saying. And don't wallow in that, because you're not going to. But how long do you sit and feel things? I still have to ask Gina, am I done? Did I feel that? I'm not clear. Like,
I think I'm over it, right? Like,
I think should I be over it? Or am I, like, I don't know. Okay. Like, this is something that I think about actually. And you prompted me to think about it more, like, am I like sitting in it too much? Or
well, I feel like culture, I mean, back to, kind of what we see in the world today, it's a culture of shame. I mean, there's a lot of clown shit happening in the world. And I think whether it's spiritual bypassing or, toxic positivity, like how many times have we heard that? Like, you're just toxically positive.
Gina.
Well, you're toxically positive. Like, it's too much for me.
I don't know.
I don't buy it. I don't believe you're that happy. It's more of a, that's how when people say things like that, I think, well, nobody knows how someone else is feeling. If they feel that way, shouldn't we be paying attention and learning from this individual, not, completely devaluing or basically, saying that's not how you feel? Like, is it toxic positivity, or are they just some damn happy?
It feels like toxic positivity is a judgment, Gina.
That's what I'm saying. It's a shame.
All right, Scott, help us out.
Help us out.
No, I feel you. I mean, I'm certain there are people out there who think I'm toxically positive. Yeah. There's no question. Yeah. And every time I talk about forgiveness, which I'm a very big believer in forgiveness, I feel like it is one of love's mandates. And whenever I post things about forgiveness, there will be people who comment some version of it's like calling someone toxically positive, like because I'm not telling people they have to forgive. People do what you want. You know what I mean? Like, I share like my experience of my life, based on the things I've gone through in getting to the other side of certain things. But it's like, I think we can easily judge anything if we choose to judge anything. And the more important question for me is if I'm caught up in that, if I'm caught up in relating to someone's message through a lens of, that's toxic, that's it's like, one, why am I giving my energy to this person? It's obviously not a message that's resonating with me. And two, like, why am I so, or maybe one, actually, that's two. One is like, what about this is triggering me in such an extreme way? Because I really think the value in being triggered for me is understanding that no one has power over me. No one's opinions, no one's judgments, no one's understanding of the world has power over me. And when I feel in alignment with my truth and how I'm understanding things, I'm not as triggered. So if I'm getting triggered by what someone's saying, the likelihood is there's something within me that isn't feeling as clear. And so there's something to reflect on. And so for me, I see those things as gifts, as annoying as they are, because it's no fun to be triggered.
Gifts. They are. I agree. I'm 100% with you. Yeah.
But I'm not going to go on a campaign against toxic positivity. Like, how does that serve my growth? Anyway, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
You don't heal from toxicity. Anything with toxic in it is not, it's not really good. But
I see the skull and crossbones.
Yeah, exactly. But,
good.
You talk about forgiveness. I mean, I really believe, and we really are about manifesting, creating a life that you love, a life that brings you joy. And what people, I think, forget about people. What I've understood, is that it prepaves the manifestation way for me to create a better life by being forgiving. That doesn't mean that you give people hall passes for being bad people. That is not, I mean, if you think that that's it, but forgiving really releases your energy to put it into love. And so I think it's like a really, like, I've gone through exercises after Guido. We had Guido Szymanski, and he's a personal impact coach from Germany, I think. I love Guido. Okay. And he does this whole thing on forgiveness. And I said, how do you know if you need to forgive? And he looked at me like big eyed and he goes, you know.
Oh,
and
know.
And I went, I do know. Because I think I'm a forgiving person. I was like, wait, I have a list. Okay, no. And so I actually go through and do an exercise of like, okay, am I in a state of who do I need to forgive? I find that actually easier to do.
Including yourself.
I'm worse with myself. Thank you, Gina. That's the one. No, that's the one that I have a hang up with.
Sure.
But you're right. I'm going to put that on the list. Thank you, Gina.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
But,
including yourself.
Yeah. So I think that's really important. Can we talk about, me? No, never mind. Okay.
I thought I knew where you were going, but I should have known it was that.
I want to talk about what it means to have a wide open heart. And what I mean by that, and that's where I'm going to say, let's talk about me. I don't think I've ever told the story. So my first psychic reading, who I was super excited for, I won't say who it was, but I had gone to her workshop and she'd get us up and we'd dance, and obviously she was raising the energy, and then amazing things happen when you raise the energy of a group, just magical things. Anyway, I had my reading with her and I was so nervous. Okay. Like, it was my first psychic reading. I mean, I'm sweating, my palms are sweating, and I sit down and I'm thinking like, okay, you will be, walking the red carpet. No. Okay. Like, listen, you know what I heard, Scott? I heard you have a closed heart. And I thought, what the fuck is that? Okay, like,
I paid how much for this shit?
Right. Seriously. No, I did think that. Okay,
I know.
You're correct about that. She knows how I think. Okay. And I was like, well, what does that mean?
I want my money back.
She goes like, I am paraphrasing. She did say that exactly. Okay. But I'm paraphrasing by her saying, once you get out of your way, you'll be able to evolve. And I was like, okay, I think I was asking about my work is what I was. And she was like, you've stuck yourself. And I mean, everything she said was accurate, completely accurate, but it wasn't what I was looking for. And then I was like, then I went to explore, well, what does a closed heart mean? And what does an open heart mean? And now sitting here, that was in 2008. I mean, it was a long time ago. Okay, like 2008. And so now I'm sitting here and I understand it, but I can't explain it. So I'm hoping, Scott, you can explain my heart problem and other people will understand it, because people will not know that they're not in love, and they won't know that.
Right.
Anyway, and in particular, I think I was the least in love with myself.
Yeah.
Well, where are you today? I'm curious. So based on
Well,
that,
on a 1 to 10, to 10, where I'm in love is, I think I'm going to give myself a high score, Gina. I'm going to, on everybody else, okay, I would say I'm at a 9 out of 10. Okay, for everybody else. For myself, I think I'm at a 5.
And you think that's high?
No, a 9 is high.
Oh,
The 5 is low. I didn't want to average them because then that would look ridiculous. Okay, but like I have so much grace for other people and love and compassion and empathy, and but for myself, I don't seem to give it back. But you would think you would give it back to yourself. I don't know, Scott, help me.
Well, I will say Scott, the Holly that sits here today is a completely different person from
2008
the Holly
Holly.
in 2008. Really, truly. I mean, Holly is a phenomenal example of somebody who's just really done her work. She's feels responsibility.
I do.
For her growth. She knows where she came from. She knows where she wants to go, and she's worked and really out of nothing created a vision for yourself and worked the plan. And it's she's an incredibly different person today.
Thank you, Gina.
I don't think she'd say that about you today. Your closed heart.
Thank you. I never went back.
I didn't think you did. Yeah.
Okay, so help us out. Or do you want? What about you? What about you in love? Do you have a number?
I think
Can't be all about me today. And I want to know Scott's number too.
I don't know if I have an. I'm similar to you. I think, and this is maybe just how humans are. I think I'm much more forgiving of an open and care about others more than self. I don't know if I have a number, but your number sounded about right. Like I feel like I'm very forgiving with others. That I feel like, and this is maybe I'm putting an asterisk here, and you're going to tell me I shouldn't do this, but I choose my investments carefully. I do. So
that's good. I think.
Yeah, I choose them carefully. And so where I have those investments, 9.
Yeah.
For myself, probably not. It's probably a 5 too. I mean, I'm not very good at self.
I mean, I might give myself a little bit, but we might give ourselves a little bit more grace there.
All right.
Well, I think, for me, self-love is, I would say my number's probably a 9 and a 9.
Yeah, I love that. Good.
I'm high for others, and I'm high for myself.
Yeah.
And it's only because I'm really willing to love myself, and I'm really committed, and I really have seen that. I think that a lot of conditioning for women is very different around self-love, because women are conditioned to take care of others all the time and put themselves last all the time. And even though we are evolving as a society, that conditioning is still very present in the workshops I give, in many of the women I talk to. It's very, the feedback is always like, I feel selfish, I'm not supposed to do this. And self-love is selfish, obviously, because it's focused on self, but it is the most beautiful selfishness that exists on this planet. It's like, it is, when you really understand that all of the love you give to yourself and all of the ways in which you take care of yourself are always going to be in service to others. One, because love is a pure positive energy. It is only of service. So if you are shining love on yourself, how you show up is going to be with love. If you're shining love on other people, you're serving yourself with that love too. And then it's like the classic, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So if you know that you're taking care of yourself in a better way, you're automatically showing up for the people in your life in a better way. So when your mind wants to come up with like, it's selfish, it's selfish in the most beautiful way, right? That's what for me is so extraordinary about love, is that anything that is aligned in love and rooted in love it just serves.
Yeah.
It just serves.
Nice.
And so I think that I meet a lot of people who tell me they don't love themselves or they don't know how to love themselves. And one of the things that I've noticed is that we're not very good at acknowledging the times that we actually love ourselves. And I think that by doing so, it creates an energy around more of those times. So I meet people, I don't know how to love myself. And I'm like, okay, did you brush your teeth this morning? Did you prepare yourself any food that you enjoyed eating? Did you put on clothes that you felt good in? These are all acts of self-love. And I think so often through our day, we're doing things to take care of ourselves, but we take them for granted because it's just what we do during the day. And then we get caught up in this story that I don't know how to love myself. I don't know how to take care of myself, when actually through much of the day, we're doing exactly that. And so what about if we just start resting in those moments for even 10 seconds? Like, this is me. I'm this is going to sound silly, but I'm being serious about it. It's like, this is me brushing my teeth because I'm taking care of my mouth and my oral hygiene.
Yeah.
This is me preparing my meal or making a cup of tea in a really lovely way because it matters to me what I'm putting into my body. And by the way, when you're putting in something into your body, that this is me eating fast food that isn't particularly healthy, and that's okay. I'm human.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is the call of
grace.
self-love. It's not just to love ourselves as we are. It's to love the parts of ourselves that are not able to love ourselves as we are. It's not just to love ourselves when we're making healthy choices. It's to love ourselves when we're not making healthy choices, right? Like self-love is always inviting us to go that step deeper. And if you're ever in a moment of shame or questioning if you're worthy in this moment or if you're enough in this moment, that's when a practiced self-love commitment comes into play, because it's, even here you are worthy, honey, even here you are beautiful. The mind is going to tell you differently, but you will be so practiced in getting back into your heart and having that voice of grace that I don't want to mislead, because like I have an insane mind that absolutely comes up with crazy shit and can self-abuse me. But what is true for me is I go instantly most of the time to that self-loving voice.
Wow.
Even when the mind is doing its crazy dance, I'm like, oh honey, you're beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh honey, you're worthy. And what that gives us is when you know that you're your own best friend, and this is I am not special in this way at all. We all have insane minds, and we all have extraordinarily loving hearts. So when you're centering in your heart, and for me, if you feel like you're having trouble connecting to the love in your heart, as I know a lot of people do, what I would encourage you to do is to be really intentional about creating a more direct relationship with that universe of love that's alive within you. What does that look like? It looks like prayer. If you feel like you're not finding love, pray to the love that's alive within you. Pray to that energy. Pray to your heart. Invite it into your life in a more present way. Write letters to it. Write love letters to it. Invitations, whatever you need to do. But there is no way that if you're more intentional about creating a more direct relationship with love, that you're not going to find a more direct relationship with love. This is the nature of energy. This is the nature of the law of attraction.
Yeah,
you're
right. It is about the energy that you are putting into the world. You are going to get a response to that energy eventually, certainly. So I don't even know where I was going with that.
I love it though. Okay,
Gosh, I'm like, it's so interesting. It was on the way here. I had called my daughter, and I was sitting at a light. We just hung up, and I was just sort of smiling about something that she said, and I'm like, "No, those are kind of cute. It's a little dimply thing." Like I had a little moment with myself this morning, which I normally don't do. By the way, no,
I love that.
So, but I'm like, I actually felt like good to like see something and go, "Oh, that's kind of cute." Like, taking those. That's just not how I'm naturally wired, but I'm rewiring, Scott. because
Right.
it's there. It's clearly there. I had it without even thinking about it, and that's not normally there. So I'm like, we need to be doing that.
Yes.
Far
The
more
truth
with
is,
ourselves.
it is how we're naturally
It
wired.
is.
We've just been piled with conditioning,
Exactly.
especially around appearance and looks and physical stuff. And I want to share something that has helped me personally so much, because it's really just acknowledging we may never transcend all of the conditioning. We're not likely to transcend all of the conditioning, and especially around physical appearance. And I think that as spiritual seekers and people on a healing journey and a growth journey, we can be extra hard on ourselves for not being as evolved as we would like to be. And then we judge and shame ourselves against an evolved version that isn't real. Like, here we are, and here's the evolved version of who we are over there, but we're not that version. So judging ourselves against that version is ridiculous, because that version is fiction.
Right.
And especially around physical appearance, what I noticed, I look in the mirror in the morning. If I'm standing naked in front of the mirror, I'm automatically, first and foremost, looking at my stomach, looking at how is my stomach looking today, making whatever judgments I'm making.
Right.
And then and then shaming myself. This was the previous version.
Right.
Shaming myself, not only about what's going on in my body, but about my inability to be okay with my body, to be the person who loves everything he's seeing about himself. And so now what I've allowed myself is, I don't shame myself in that way for not being evolved. It's like, hey, you may never totally like your body, and you have been conditioned not to like your body for 1,000 different reasons. So that's okay.
Yeah.
Continue to recognize any beauty standards are total bullshit. It's all nonsense. And yet we've been fed them from the time that we're 3 and 4 and 5 years old every day from a whole host of medium. And it's like, it's okay that you may never get over this. Give yourself some grace there. And so for me, that was when I was shown again. It was like what self-love was telling me is, yes, you are beautiful the way you are. And if you're not able to understand that, self-love is telling me, hey, you may be conditioned till you're on your deathbed, and that's okay too. In our expansiveness, can we hold space for all of these truths in a way that creates more peace in our relationship with ourselves? And that's the gift of self-love.
Oh, I
for
love
me,
that.
it's always another layer of peace and peace and peace. If you can keep coming back to, it's okay, you're human. It's okay, you're human. You just create for yourself this new way of being in relationship with yourself that is not built, it's not rooted in shame, it's not rooted in anxiety, it's not rooted in self-loathing, it's not rooted in fear. It's rooted in who we are beyond all of those things, which for me is the love that exists in my heart and the peace that exists in my soul.
It's so good. So I want everybody to go to YouTube and look at him. He's a handsome man. Okay. But, like all of us, we've struggled with that. And I feel like, here's what I'm going to say about that, because I've been shifting a lot. I have been a mess about body image, about everything, you name it, all of it. Okay. Like most people are. And one of the things I shifted was I started shifting, the talk about my body when I look at myself. But what I notice with people who are able to actually love their body and able to actually stand in a more loving way is, I don't care what you look like, people actually find you more attractive. I mean, the crazy thing is people will find you immensely attractive if you are standing in love. And our standards of what we should look like are completely ridiculous. It's bullshit
Jacked
exponentially.
up.
It's jacked up. And I've seen that, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm starting to really consciously evolve that. And when I do go to the judgment, I've been giving myself grace. And what's happened, and I'm going to say this, and what's happened is somehow my body is better. Okay. Like, I don't know. Okay. Like, and I stopped weighing myself every minute. Okay. Like, seriously. And I'm better now. And I will say one more thing about that is there's something about command and control there too. So it's like, it's a deeper thing. And so I always thought, well, if I'm not wrestling it,
I'm going to wrestle it to the ground. You used to
then
say
it's
that all
going to
the
be
time.
out of control. And that is so messed up. And so like, I think if you can pile all that messed up stuff and say, okay, I'm only human, I mean, and put more love into it, it actually does switch.
I agree. I actually am going to embrace the chubby squirrel in the tree. That was so cute. I'm standing firmly in my chubby squirrelness.
Yeah.
Not a chubby squirrel, but yes,
he's cute
but
in the
he's
tree.
cute.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
Give me that.
Yeah, and I don't want to be clear, I don't want to suggest in any way that there's not value in recognizing the insanity of the beauty industry and doing whatever we can to come into better relationship with our looks and our body. It's just, I want to be in good relationship with all the parts of me, including the part of me that may never be able to look at myself and think you're the hottest thing. Like the part of me that may never be able to transcend envy or jealousy. Like all of these parts I used to just resist and try to bury and pretend they weren't there. And they have so much more power when we try to pretend they're not there, instead of just being like, you're welcome here. You're welcome here. What are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to tell me? I hear you. I'm not going to move forward like rooted in the messages that you want me to say, envy, but I hear you. And it's just created more peace. I want to be in friendship with all aspects of myself.
Fully integrated.
You know? As much as possible. You know?
I love it.
I have a go for it. And then
I was going to switch gears.
Okay, I was too. I'm going to switch first. Okay, so authenticity.
Yeah.
How do we know? I'm asking for a friend. How do we know if we're authentically ourselves when I don't feel like I even know what I authentically am?
Wow. Do we have another hour for that?
I know. I dumped that on in the very end on purpose. I was going to see how Scott goes. Yeah, I'll come back for that one. That's a part two. But
no,
I'm curious.
It's a great
good
question.
It's such a deep question, you know, because I don't know that any of us can be clear all the time about who we are and who we are not when we've been because again, I keep bringing up conditioning, but we've been just infused with conditioning about how we're supposed to be, that sometimes it's not even clear. You know, for me, I just try to check in with how I feel, how my body feels. The body is often a clear informant. It's not always. People say trust your body always, but sometimes there's trauma built into our bodies, and our body's responding to something that is wholly safe in an unsafe way based on previous trauma. So I don't think our body is always 100% on, but mostly my body is telling me if I'm full of shit, or if I'm living in a way right now or speaking in a way that feels true. And all we can do ultimately, Gina, is, if we're not clear, is continue to make ourselves available to that discovery. Continue to be curious about it. If there's something in you that's like what I'm doing right now, I can't even tell if this is real for me, do some exploration.
Yeah.
Like, what is it in you that feels that it's not real? What is it in you that believes in order to make it more real, you would need to be this? And is that belief coming from conditioning, or is that coming from what you feel is most true for you?
True inside.
For me, it's just playing in this world. You know, I think that this work can feel so heavy so often, the work of healing and stuff, because it is heavy at times. And I'm practicing more in my life now of bringing a lot more creativity or curiosity and a lot more fun. It's like when my mind is insane, what I'm doing often now is being like, whoa, that's a trip that you think that, like literally, like that's, and what it does energetically is it shifts the energy.
Sure.
And so I'm not so in the heaviness of my mind telling me I'm a piece of shit or the world is whatever. Right. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like I bring this nonchalance to my relationship with my thoughts now that really helps me shift energetically from the heaviness.
Well, and it creates a space between you and those thoughts.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
There's space,
amazing.
which is, I think that in
That's
and of
a big
itself
deal.
is huge. So
Yeah,
I love that. I
absolutely.
love that. That makes, and we have our we talked about our badassery principles. The first one is, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. It's a hell
Yeah,
no.
I love
Right.
that.
Like it's so that I think what you're saying is check in with yourself. And if it's a hell yeah, that feels good.
Yeah.
You're probably on the right track. It's probably in alignment. If it's even a maybe or a no, you're on the wrong. You're not being authentic to yourself. Right.
Sometimes those maybes and no, even that might take a little interrogation though, because for me, it's like if it's a no, if it's a no, because our fear is always going to go to no.
Oh yeah.
If there's any chance of creating discomfort in our lives, our fear's job is to say no to it, because I believe my fear is my friend and is looking out for me, even though it does a shit job of looking out for me often, and is way too is insane about how it looks out for me.
Right.
But I do believe so knowing that fear is always going to say no to anything that's uncomfortable, it's incumbent upon me then to look at, well, is there more than that going on? Because maybe my body is actually lifting when I think about this thing that I want to move into, even though I'm terrified and my mind's like, don't do it. Don't ask that person out. You could get rejected.
Right.
Don't quit your job. You might never find another job. Don't start this podcast. You're going to be judged by people for sure. Right?
Yes.
That doesn't mean that it's not a yes. That just means that there's fear involved. And so when I don't stop it,
F word, I hate that.
the F word
four-letter
and the
word.
R word, like resistance.
Yeah.
It's like, so yeah, there might be more in interrogation involved.
Beautiful reminder.
I love that.
F word gets me.
Yeah, it gets all of us, Gina,
I know,
not just you.
I know.
Okay, so quickly, excuse me, before we run out of time, I just briefly wanted you to touch on your breath work. And I love, she loves breath work.
I do.
Was you, like when you said you started, you're like, what? Why am I here? Like, so how did it take hold of you, and will it convert everybody? I wonder if I'm missing out. I might have FOMO, a fear of missing out. So that F word again. Okay, so
yeah, it is. I mean, breathwork for me is one of the most life-changing tools I've ever worked with. I have had some of the most profound, truly profound healings of my life in a 25-minute breathing session, and I can't speak highly enough about this practice. It's a transformational breathwork practice, and I'm doing it almost weekly. I offer it online and join sometime.
Okay.
Love
online. It is so extraordinarily powerful, because what the breath is really effective at doing is getting you out of your mind and getting you into your body. And if you're willing to give yourself over to that, and you too will be, because of the work you do. Like, the people who aren't converted by breathwork are people who are like, what the fuck was that? Like, that was so, like, truly, it's so intense. The energy that moves through your body can be so intense. And then the things that it can bring up, because the breath is really good at releasing pockets of resistance and stuck energy. And so then what might come out is a lot of crying or some yelling. I love that stuff.
I love that.
Like, if I'm crying and screaming, I'm happy. You know?
I'm happy.
Oh, listen, most oftentimes when I do it,
You do?
oh yeah.
I don't. Okay, like I do want to cry.
I don't like weep, but my eyes are watery, and I do. Absolutely.
Yeah, because you're moving the energy, you're moving stuck energy, and we hold so much in our bodies. And so for me, that's one of the most powerful aspects of the breath. And then also, I'm not a medium. I have never connected to those who have passed. That has not been my reality.
Yeah.
3 different breathwork sessions, my parents, both of whom have passed, came to me. and the healings that happened in those sessions, the communications, it's life-changing. And I'm not promising you that that's going to happen.
No,
in
of
breathwork.
course not. But
I also know I'm not the only one who's had those experiences. I have had inner child healings in breathwork. I mean, there's just no saying where it takes you.
I love that.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's funny because I will tell you, so I have a therapist that likes to do a little bit of breath work at the end, and I always get worried because I have performance pressure. So I want to do a good job and find something. And so, of course, nothing's going to happen when I'm like, okay, come on, show me what's happening in my body. Like as I'm breathing, okay, I'm doing the circular, like there's so much like type A weird ass behavior going on in my head that I it's hard for me to even in the breath, it's hard for me to calm down.
You know what, though? I have to tell you, Holly, one, you're not alone in that, of course. Everyone's bringing their mind to it, but this is not like a pranayama breath. This is not a yogic breath. This is not a relaxation breath. This is a very active breath. Breathing, and you would be hard pressed if you spend a half an hour with me in this breath. You're gonna go somewhere. You're not. Your mind may be strong,
like you, Scott. I'm gonna get you there. Yeah. You will have no choice.
And it's not me. It's the breath.
It's
but
breath.
it's
Sure.
It's very different.
I feel like when I'm doing those breath sessions, I'm like, I have been breathing wrong my entire damn life.
Well, no, that's not giving yourself very much grace, Gina.
No, but I don't think it's the thing it's the life-giving thing, and we don't understand. I didn't understand, even as a singer, like I didn't understand that outside of singing that you are supposed to breathe.
Yeah.
Diaphragmatically. You're supposed to.
I'm such a shallow breather.
I'm a shallow breather. Yes. Me too. And I get the hiccups a lot because when I'm stressed, I don't breathe very good. And so I get the
well, your body knows. Your body
tells me. It tells me. Yes, but it is really interesting. I'm a shallow breather too.
Okay, I love that.
Yes,
so you
really
offer
good.
that on Instagram? How do people find that?
It's
how Holly find that?
Usually Wednesday nights typically, but I always post. It's always in my Instagram, links. You can find it. But I've been doing it weekly pretty much, and it's been really great.
Fantastic. We will definitely join.
Well, I will say you have to follow him, get the book Big Love. It's funny. It has stories in it. It will delight you and
bring you big love.
And you can see yourself in all of it. It's so beautiful. So thank you for that. I think that one of the things that you said, we love to give our audience what we call the uncorked assignment. Yeah. And one of the things that I'm going to speak for Scott.
Of course.
He's here.
Welcome to my world, Scott. Yeah.
And then I'll let you, I'll let you like.
Holly and the chubby squirrel would like to assign. The cute chubby squirrel.
Okay, listen. No, Gina, stop that. Okay, so for 1 week, bring more love. And I'm going to let you expand on that. But we want to make a commitment. Give me your pinky. We're going to pinky swear.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Okay, we got pinkies going here. All right.
Pinky swearing. Yep.
For 1 week, we're going to invite more love into our lives and watch how our lives change. And so what do you say to that, Scott? Is that a good idea? Because it was yours.
Yeah, you know what?
If not, it's your fault.
It's your fault.
I'll add to it a little. Like, you know what? For 1 week, just if you did no other thing, well, no, you'll be doing a lot of other things, but like, just begin to acknowledge throughout the day the moments in your day that you are showing up for yourself in a loving way, in a self-caring way. And even just take 5 seconds, if you can, when you remember to, put your hand over your heart or both hands over your heart and say something to the effect of, this is me loving myself right now. And just see, by giving energy to your relationship with self-love and the way you are caring for yourself, if that doesn't create more energy around making more of those choices. And also pay attention to how it helps you show up in your relationships with other people.
This is me loving myself. Okay, I love this. Well, we're doing it. We pinky swore.
Yep.
We did the pinky swear. So
You
Scott
have to let me know.
Oh, I will
we
let
will.
you know.
No,
We
we
will
will.
let you know. And we'll start harassing you on Instagram. So as we close, is there anything else that we haven't covered or you'd like to talk about, or a parting note for our audience?
I mean, there's so much we haven't
I
talked about because
know.
we could
We
talk
could
for
stay
hours. I
forever.
can't
We
believe
really
it's
could.
over.
I know.
But you know what I
It's so
will say?
fast.
Just to, as a parting note, just to everyone listening, just a real clear reminder to you that you are worthy and enough exactly as you are, and your worth is inherent. You were born with it. You will die with it. It is not predicated on anything you do or how you look or how you dress or who you're married to. All of that is beautiful if it's adding to your life in a positive way, and it has nothing to do with your worth. So if you can remember and really breathe into the truth of your worthiness, the way you move through the world changes entirely. And what you invite into your life from that place of worthiness changes entirely. So yeah, you're
I
worthy.
love that. What you invite
Now
into
my
your life
eyes
changes.
are watering
I
again.
know.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Thank you,
It
Scott.
is. Okay,
you.
well, listen.
It was
We love you.
I love you
Big,
both
And
too.
you have
Thank you.
big love.
My whole day is reset.
Yeah,
We're
for
having big
sure.
love. I'm going to pretend like I'm rebranding love to big love. I'm going to steal it.
Yeah, of course you are.
Talk about it all day. I have big love for everybody. And we're taking on the assignment.
We will.
And
That's
we'll let you know how it goes. And we're so happy that you were, and just honored. Thank you for being a love activist and a love
Thank you,
spreader. You definitely spread it to us and our audience. We thank you. And we're honored that you spent your time here today with us.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you both, and thank you both for what you're doing. Really, it's beautiful, and you both are just a joy. Truly,
Thank you.
have a beautiful weekend.
All right. Yes, you too.
Bye,
Thanks, Scott.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.
Okay. Bye, Scott.